At the KSMO studio, it's time for us to sit down with our interim hospital CEO, Jason Edwards. He's made it in. Good morning.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Up and running.
You are ready to rock and roll, dude.
Always.
Always.
You know me. It's just
You're born to run.
I'm born to run.
Yeah.
You know, that extrovert kind of guy.
I know you got a bit.
You know me. I like to talk. So.
You like to talk, and I know you got a busy day in front of you too. So
always on the run.
Yeah,
yeah. That's part of it.
You know, and I hope people understand that not only are you the interim CEO, but you're still doing the dietitian work, not only at Salem Hospital, but still that contract with Texas County.
Yep. Actually, I'll be headed over there today to taking care of patients and I got that deep voice.
You do. You're actually doing okay. I just would like to get a little bit more volume.
Get a little bit more volume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just taking care of patients. It's something I've done for 20 years, and that's stepping into this new role. I want to continue to try to, meet all my expectations, in both areas. So I want to continue to take care of patients and take care of people.
But it's also important that there's a dietitian at these hospitals.
Oh, yes. That's
critical, isn't it?
Yes, it's it's conditioned of participation to be able to, for CMS and guidelines, and whenever we get state surveyed, you have to have a dietitian. It's a requirement. So we have obligations there, and I want to fulfill them.
Yep. That's the guy I know.
Yeah.
That's the guy I know. Anyway.
Hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running. And even when there's a mud puddle, you just keep on going.
Just keep chugging through the mud.
Yeah, it might slow you down a little bit, but you're going to tread right through it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, we're thankful you're here. Do appreciate you making the time to come in, and I know you're busy, so we're gonna hop right through this sucker.
All
we're gonna do it a little quicker than we did the meeting.
Okay, sounds great. Yep.
A little 2-hour meeting and never hurt anybody.
Well, you throw a presentation or two in there. That does.
They had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And that's part of what boards should be doing, asking questions.
Absolutely.
If they don't know, they don't know. Anyway, well, let's get right to the administrator's report, which happened to be you.
That's right.
Anyway, talk a little bit about the Health Partners Management Group and what they're doing with the revenue cycle. And they've kind of taken over and really straightened things out, right?
Yep. So what they've got going on is previously with RHG being on site, they had a lot of process develop in the revenue cycle. So when they cut that contract, we had to set an additional agreement to maintain that for a period of time. However, after that period of time, we've got to transition over to be able to continue for the long run.
Sure.
So HPMG, or Health Partners Management Group, has helped us find an interim revenue cycle director that we can embed and cover that for a period of time until we can ultimately bring the service in-house. We want to bring everything in-house. Nobody really wants to outsource anything, so if we can control that, that's the ultimate goal. So that's where HPMG comes in.
When you outsource it, you don't have direct control over it, do you?
Absolutely. That's where another company is doing your revenue cycle, your billing, your coding, or what have you. It could be just different parts of it, but anything we can control and keep in-house, the better off you're going to be.
And you have a better idea what's coming in every day. You're waiting on reports from those other companies where this way, if it's on your own staff, daily what's going on.
Exactly. And if, these companies have set parameters that they want to meet these key performance indicators, they may just meet those. They won't go above and beyond, to where our staff, we can set goals for each other to go above and beyond to do better work. Sure. So there's always positives to have it in-house.
Good. Incentive laid. That's all I was like to say.
Incentively.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so tell us a little bit about this Torch grant. I think we've heard a little bit about it before for a couple months. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about this. We were awarded that Torch grant now.
Yes, it is. It's in the infancy stage for both us and the originators of the grant. So we're working with 6 other hospitals for this grant. I am fairly new coming into this role, learning about this grant. I went to 1 meeting thus far, and I'm learning that the facilitators of this grant are still trying to work with these 6 hospitals to work with CMS as well to what can qualify for this funding. So there's going to be more news coming. It's very, very new right now, but we'll have more to report on it later.
Okay, so you still have to define the guidelines yet that each of the hospitals is going to abide by for this grant.
Right.
Because they haven't been established.
Right. So we do
That's how new it is.
Yes, and exactly. And we're going to work with different, affiliates in the community to facilitate this grant with us,
Sure.
not only just these 6 hospitals, but other entities in the hospital or within the community. So it's going to be a great grant to be able to take care of patients outside. And how do we get those services to people? So that's the ultimate goal
Very
of the
good.
Torch Grant.
Very good. All right, the MHA's Population Health Assessment Survey.
Yeah, we're working on completing that.
One of those things that you have to do.
Yep, absolutely. Things with MHA, being a member of that.
Okay, so the long-term care plan of correction, which we had a few slight deficiencies. I mean, they were slight.
Yes.
And that was easily corrected, but
Correct.
again, they never find you perfect.
Oh yeah, no,
Very
that's
rarely.
Very
I mean,
rarely do they
very
do.
rarely you're going to get 100%, right?
Right.
And, well, you didn't, but you got the plan approved. That's going to correct those issues.
Yep.
All right, you're still working the documentation for those matching funds that you have been awarded from the state. That just takes a long time, doesn't it?
It does. And we've got the forms, and previously those forms were sent to the previous administration. They kind of sat, so we have re-requested those forms, and we're working on them right now to be able to get them all up to date so we can get that match funding done.
It's always fun.
Oh, yeah. Always
you bet.
fun. Paperwork
And-
trails.
And then, of course, with any kind of grant like this, there are parameters within that grant, too, that you have to follow. So it's not like just say, yeah, we can go get the matching funds, or we're going to pledge this or pledge that. Some things are acceptable, some things aren't.
Right. And we have to know that information prior to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the fun parts of doing these jobs. All right, so you're establishing plans for an audit assistant program. You're not using Forvis.
No.
You're using an independent person, but they're familiar with Forvis so that they're getting it lined up for the audit with Forvis.
Correct.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
interpreted that correctly.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what's happening. And that person, I think, did work for BK&D at one time,
At
which
some-
then became Forvis, right?
Correct. Yeah, and they had a lot of experience, and what we're doing is going to work as a consultant to help us with this audit program, so where we can get ready to go for our audit.
Very good. Okay, so you had some town hall meetings within the hospital.
Yes. So we had 3 meetings that consisted of where basically myself talked about everything going on with the hospital. I like to be open and transparent to everybody, and I think open communication with not just through emails or bring everybody so they can look people in the eye and ask questions. There was a lot of laughter, a lot of good questions. We had 70+ employees that come to those town hall meetings, and it was good to just see everybody and talk through everything going through the hospital. Good questions from, we had hospital week last week, and so some of that, and I believe it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago is when we had those town hall meetings. So it was a great time.
Okay, very good. And you learn a lot from those town hall meetings because you might hear things in the hallways you're going through, but you don't get a chance to talk one-on-one with those people. And I know you've been trying to catch up. You've been meeting with directors, still working on that capital budget, still trying to get everything put together. But to sit down and talk to just as many people as you can in the hospital to get their feedback or their feelings about what's going on at the hospital too, because that bleeds over, doesn't it?
Oh, exactly. Well, they may hear something like it could be like the HPMG group. They may think that, is this a takeover? Are they going to buy the hospital? No, this is absolutely nothing. You're not going to explain all that. This is what it's about. So that's a good opportunity to be transparent, open the communication, and ease people's, thoughts of where they might be going. How things just kind of roll downhill.
Oh yeah. Well, then they think the worst.
Yep, absolutely.
People, your mind is a wonderful thing. It can generate just brilliant, fantastic ideas, but it can go in some pretty dark places sometimes and put you in a dark place.
Yeah.
Because you misinterpret something, or you misheard something, or somebody misspoke.
Yep, and then you're thinking about it the whole time.
And
Your
you're
brain's
thinking,
rolling.
What do you mean they're going to be doing this? I never heard that. Now you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now it starts to get concerning.
Yeah.
You don't need that. I'll tell you what, life is a struggle all the way through, but when people add, I always call the dung pile on top. It's hard to find your way out of every day, because sometimes you have enough challenges every day that meet basically your quota. You can only do so much in a day.
Right.
And then when they start adding on the dung pile, and you got to filter your way through all that, that really, it kind of makes you feel helpless sometimes because you don't even know where it's coming from.
Right.
Yeah. Where'd that come from? Oh, I heard it down at the cafe. Why
And
would
there's
you
a lot of things that happen in the
believe
cafe and the
that?
barbershop.
Yeah, why would you believe that? All right, very good. The 340B drug plan, that was recertified.
Yep, got
Very
that
good.
completed.
You talked about hospital anniversary weekend. I know you brought that up at the last meeting. That was September 9th through the 15th?
This
is that
last
right?
week, yep.
Okay, very good. And you guys had a lot of different activities.
Oh, a lot of prizes and games, and just keeping the atmosphere up and moving and keeping it positive. So, and Hospital Week and Anniversary Week has always been just a time that we can all work together and just have some fun, still doing the business like we always do, taking care of people, taking care of the community. But, we would have games throughout the day when our staff could win prizes. And then we ended it with a barbecue on Friday where we can all sit down and just let our hair down and talk and, just have fun. And guess who was the cook?
You were.
That's right. So had some good barbecue, pork steaks, and some desserts provided by the provider. So it was just a great event.
Fantastic. All right, the Delta Regional Annual Summit. Now, you know about the Delta Regional. We've had this now for a couple of years. That's for the community champion, etc. This was your first opportunity to actually firsthand see this thing.
Yeah, get down and, going to the summit, what I learned is the hospitals, these rural hospitals in the Delta region are going through the exact same issues that Salem Hospital is going through. When I was going through these presentations, it's like they were talking about Salem Hospital. But they would have presenters from Forvis. They would have presenters, CEOs from different hospitals, revenue cycle directors from different hospitals. Just everything, a whole gamut of things explaining what issues they're dealing with. And I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I'm dealing with the same stuff. How can we network together and how can we work through this? And that's what Delta Regional, the funding is all about. That's why they bring these hospitals together and they get awarded this funding to help get through these types of things. So it's going to be, we've got a little bit left on the Delta region, so we want to maximize that as much as possible. So we're using Delta Region right now to do a data assessment of our finances. So they're going through and we're working with them to try to do an audit assistance program, but that may be taking a little bit too long a time. But also with our PPM, physician management, that documentation and looking at some revenue cycle assistance.
Sure.
So all kinds of things. They're going to be tired of hearing from you by the time, when it's all said.
They'll know your name.
They will know my name.
They'll know your number.
Yeah.
When it says pain on the phone, when it comes up, they'll know it's you.
Yeah, I had a lot of the Delta Regional Authority representatives come up to me. And I'm like, "You're Jason, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you guess?" Because they got used to hearing my name recently. So
they probably hear your voice and
Yeah.
they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. Very good. All right. So, but it is a great tool. And you have a new kind of community champion with Healthy Dane County.
That's correct.
They're going to be stepping in and assisting you in this.
Yep. So that's a contract through with the Delta region that we can use for that part of the program that requires.
Very good. And
Yep.
then, so you have some assistance.
That's correct. I
Always
love
nice
some
to get
assistance.
some assistance.
Every time you can get resources, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. All right, yeah, Chrissy Decker make a nice presentation about family medicine and where it's gone, and she's done a great job since she's taken over the helm over there. You might, it was a very long presentation. You might want to streamline that a little bit. And you can go through some of the details, but, Chrissy really has got that clinic at heart. I mean, everything about it, it's her.
Right. And she has been embedded for the time that she's been there of all these programs that she's stepping into. I mean, she started off the presentation just explaining who the providers are, going through each one of the providers, what they do, and then went right into, what have we been really focusing on as far as our visits, trying to increase our visits, taking care of more patients, what it's coming down to, being able to take care of our people. You can look at finances and money and all that all day long, and that's what runs businesses. I get it. But when it ultimately comes down to a hospital, it's taking care of people. When you take care of people and your processes are in line, all the rest falls into place. So she went into like the copay collections and total collections, the new patients that we were able to add on with our new Saturday clinic. She brought into some of those numbers and some of the other things from the sports physicals, contraceptive implants, some of the new, and the transitional care management.
Which is new.
Yes, all these new services. She went into some of the contracts that we were doing. like our jail contract that we were working with the sheriff's department on, and also a little bit of, like the doe run contracts, and this in the new program ChartSpan, which is for our chronic care management service. So a lot of good things going on. It was a good presentation, and occupational medicine. There's not many, I guess, healthcare institutions out there that really focus on a service like with occupational medicine. So when you think about that, and that's kind of like your doe runs and your industries that you can take care of employees to where onboarding and new hire employees, and that's kind of what you think with occupational medicine. How can we get them? So like with Walmart and FedEx, and we're working on a new product with eScreen, and that's kind of embedded with that Walmart contract.
A lot of things that go on behind the scenes that take a lot of time. And obviously, when you're talking about the occupational medicine, that's a new avenue getting in. ChartSpan was something that I remember when she first brought it out. She goes, we didn't have anything for that and then the transitional management.
Right.
Had nothing. And a lot of times there's contracts that you have to have that require that.
Right. Right. So, and that's why.
And she was finding the hospital could meet those contracts.
Right. So that's where Chrissy jumped in and got these contracts set up to where we can develop those types of I wouldn't call them affiliations, but partnerships to where we can take care of those patients, take care of those employees, take care of those with the ultimate goal of we want to take care of your service. We want to be your provider. And we're working some other things as well as trying to get that information out to the public. So,
yeah, very good.
Yep.
Now, obviously, you guys updated the policy and procedure manual. Most of that is just tweaking it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of changes to it, but people come and go.
Yep.
Things change. Different
Switch
services
names.
being offered.
Yep.
You got to include it all. And then the quality improvement action was something that she went over and was very good because, we go through it. We're in it every day. You don't see what's not being done.
Right.
When you're doing it, you don't see what's not being done because it's part of your everyday routine. But like adding paper surveys for patient satisfaction because a lot of them can't see online. They can't read a small screen.
Every time, and you love technology and you love to be able to advance and modernize things. But if you think about some of these little iPads and what they use for technology to do these surveys, they're hard to see for all of us.
Yeah.
So to be able just to implement paper surveys for somebody that may be not being able to see is just one step of taking care of the patient.
It is.
So these are just quality improvement activities that
and even minor things like the drug and supply closet reorganization. So everything is in a place where it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
So you don't have to
labeled appropriately.
You don't have to find it on this closet over here, the third closet door on the left, behind the sink. That's the one you want to go to for that. But if you can't find it there, it's probably going to be in the second closet door on the right, behind that janitorial door.
But keeping that organized, ooh.
Oh, that's a job.
Yeah, that's a job.
You know how many things go through a hospital? I bet you do.
Oh, and there's so many things that you can't know everything.
No.
So everybody's human.
And we all sit in a doctor's office and we see the cotton swabs, the tongue depressors, and thinking, well, it must be pretty easy to do that. Then you got the gloves, and then you got paper towels, and then you got everything else that goes with it.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe all the things that have an expiration date on it that you would not think.
Yeah.
And you have to be on top of that because you have a state survey. That's a tag.
Speaking of state survey, you had one.
Yep, we had two. The same day.
Yeah, Sunday.
One on Sunday. That was the long-term care. And then just this week, we had our mammography survey, which passed with flying colors. So our mammography team, our radiology imaging team did an awesome job. Second year in a row, I don't have no deficiencies. And then we also had
That's not easy to do.
That is not easy to do. Not at all. Very complimentary. And then we had, right after that, our RHC survey, which a rural health clinic survey, which we were expecting, but you're talking we were waiting for it. It was going to happen. And again, same thing, no deficiencies. So outstanding. They did an outstanding job.
The day of the board meeting.
Absolutely. You got to pile all that stuff in one day. Why not?
Poor
just enough
Christy
to make
she was wiped out.
just to make the blood pressure higher. You know?
Absolutely. But there's so much that goes on behind that when they go in through that. As Chrissy said, usually these surveys last 6 to 8 hours, and they were done in 2.
Yeah. When you have everything organized, policies and procedures, anything they need to see, like you say, that drug closet, everything is organized. When they can take a 6 to 8 hour survey and condense it into 1 to 2 because they don't have to look for it. It's all right here. So that's it's a good pat on the back to know that you've got that all organized. Policy procedures are ready to go. Everything's signed properly. We're good.
But like you were pointing out, they're looking for deficiencies.
Right.
That's what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
And when they can't find it,
makes their job easy.
After a while, they give up.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Very good. So the state survey of the clinic, not
colors.
one deficiency
Not
was
one
found.
deficiency.
And that's pretty impressive. So she kind of went over some quality incentive, a quality incentive summary report. We got Brady Floyd coming on, new doctor. That's going to be good. And then she had some ideas about different things to look at. Not right now, maybe, but in the upcoming future.
Yeah.
That the clinic might be looking into.
Yep. So that might be as far as with bringing new, the providers on and looking for the future. You might be looking at a clinic remodel with some of that capital resources and a VFC program. So something to look at that Dr. Floyd would definitely be interested in, wanting to have that program. Look at some possibilities of a weight loss clinic.
Better say VFC. That's vaccinations.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
I'm
sorry, you start getting acronyms in there.
Yeah, these hospital guys, everything. But it's vaccinations, which our hospital does not currently do.
Right.
Our health center does, but the hospital could do those. And the nice part about it is you have Zach Moser, the director of the health center, on your board.
Correct.
So he's very familiar with why this is so important to have these vaccinations available.
Absolutely. When I went to the Delta region, that's one of the top focuses was not necessarily affiliations, but more, what's works best for your hospital isn't affiliation, is partnerships. They were huge on partnerships. So when you think about that, partnerships within your community or surrounding communities, you can work together to do those types of things.
Exactly. So a lot of good stuff. Talk a little bit about a weight loss clinic, but that's still in kind of discussion mode, trying to figure all that out.
Right.
And you just can't start something like today. Just say, hey, we're going to start a weight loss clinic tomorrow.
Yeah. No, this is just topics of discussion. Would this be great for our facility? Would it not? So that's still in, like I say, I call it the infancy stage.
Sure.
So just discussion. Yeah. The PDMP compliance. So that's making sure with our, and I forgot the acronym now. You got me thinking. That's where you get Chrissy.
Yeah.
And she can just fly them right out.
Yeah, well, she knows all this stuff.
Yeah. And then we talked about the survey. Then we talked about some quality measures. And, the PCMH program, which is, there, I forgot an acronym again. But that's more of a certification you may not necessarily need, but following the parameters of that quality to be able to give the ultimate, and that's more funding that we would get and for more dollars for the rural health clinic and providing better quality for our patients.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good. She did a great job on that presentation. That she, as I mentioned, brought up that quality assurance report, which is nice.
Right.
Good to see that report.
And that's part of that, the PCMH quality measures, not necessarily maybe getting certified for it, but using those measures for better quality care.
It's just like a report card.
Yeah, exactly.
You can look at it and say, we could do a better job here. How do we do the better job? It's not that we can do a better job. How do we do a better job?
Right. Always taking one step to do the best possible quality patient-centered care you can provide.
Very good. All right, summary of operations as we look at there's not really a bad month in the month of August for the hospital whatsoever.
Nope. It looked like, inpatient admissions were down just a hair based on our budget, but overall, compared to last year, it was up.
Now we have revised budget numbers now.
Right.
So Doug went back and revised some of these budget numbers, which were straight line numbers left by RHG. They're no longer the straight line numbers, which was taking the total amount for the year and divided by 12.
Right. So
which never happens in a hospital.
Right. What if you think about it, budgets are almost like an educated guess based on market,
Sure.
market trends. But so yeah, Doug had to go in and actually not necessarily correct, but implement each month that we would need based on market trends. So, but overall, yeah, it was a pretty decent month. We had a lot of good, like our rural health clinic had a good, almost record breaking with total visits, but we'll get to that as well as our surgeries. We had some good days too.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
Some good, very good numbers when you look at it, and then swing beds being utilized, and
Yep.
that's a
Pretty
big
consistent.
thing
Yep.
for the hospital. Length of stay at the swing beds though has been pretty consistent, 13, 14 days somewhere in there, and last year it was 19, which
Right.
seems kind of odd. Well, maybe we didn't have too many in a swing bed.
Well, and and it's when you think about swing bed days, and it's those patients of how much care do they need, and how long can we get, and being able to get them and taking care of them, not necessarily quicker, but make sure to get to where they need to be.
Closer to home.
Closer to home.
Closer to home. All right, very good. So numbers, not bad at all for the month of August, which is not usually a very high volume month for
Right.
the hospital. Not usually.
Not usually.
No.
So hopefully
But there has been some COVID going around. There's been some flu going around.
right. So we're anticipating it's going to be, busy. I mean, we're here to take care of people. So that's the purpose of it. Staffing is always a concern. That was another thing with the Delta region. There's staffing across the board,
God, yeah.
shortages everywhere. So,
What was it brought out? 113, 114 counties are understaffed
oh yeah, just
in the state of Missouri.
It's tough, but we do the best we can. And our staff works their tails off to take care of people.
And do a good job. They
Yep,
do a
they do
really
an
good
outstanding job.
Outpatient registrations, that's up. I like
Yep.
to see
Yep.
you like to see the numbers grow. Cardiopulmonary, there's something going on with that.
Yeah, our PFTs were we didn't have our pulmonologist, I believe, had retired, so we had to enact another pulmonologist and get that contract and stuff. So we're unable to do PFTs for a period of time. However, that has been fixed, so there'll be more of those services in line.
Lab tests were big, but we had some lab tests from Run.
Yep, had some contract lab
contracts,
tests.
radiological procedures. That's just solid, pretty solid. Rehab treatments, again, very solid. The surgical procedures, that might be a new record. 46.
That was up there. That was one of the top days, and I do believe that was a record month.
That was very, very.
Yep, they were very, very busy, and they showed it.
Yeah, very busy. Home health 204 with home health admissions 18. Long-term care at the time of this was done was 16.
Yep.
Now it's full, right?
That is correct. I think we were filling our last bed this week, so we should be right 18 heads in the bed, as we call it.
Very good. All right, emergency room visits. You're going to be looking at 650 to about 690 almost every month.
Right.
And occasionally you'll have more.
Right, depending on what's going on.
But it's been that way since the clinic has opened up on Saturday.
Right.
It's been pretty stable right there.
Right. That's been and that's what's easy. We can actually know that we can stay around that number and market, and being able to budget those numbers, it makes it a little bit easier.
Very good. All right. Emergency department had transfer 27, which isn't all that many. I saw some of those transfers. Some of those are pretty serious that they have to move on. People, we always like to highlight this, and there was a number brought up at the meeting about against medical advice for people leave. You have the option of going wherever you want, and if you think an emergency room wait is too long, you have the right to walk out. You do.
Right.
But if you go in, if you're getting treated by a doctor and they say, I would recommend you do this, they're not telling you that just to tell you that.
Right.
They may want to admit you because there's something they see wrong. If you don't want to be admitted, that's your right. But
Everybody has
you
the
are
right,
leaving
patient
against
right.
medical advice.
Right. And that's like a lot of the weights in the ER are higher around the board. We're not out of the realm. We're actually less. So the other facilities, there's longer waits than what we see. So, and I know but we notice trends that a lot of people come all at once,
time, yeah.
and it's not necessarily any person or what's going on, but it just seems like it happens all at once. And whenever we fill those rooms, they tend to have a wait because we got to take care of those patients first, you know.
Sure.
But sometimes it gets a little frustrating. But we're always looking at ways. How do we prevent this? How can we prevent this? And we are looking for some ways to prevent that.
Sure. Always, it can, like we say, it can always be better. But, you've got to figure out how you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
How you can do it, still offer the service you do, and still make the patient comfortable. But if you're out in the emergency room, you're probably not comfortable.
Right.
Something's wrong.
You're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all get impatient. Hey, I've been here for 10 minutes. I should be seen by now.
Right.
Well, don't go to St. Louis on Friday night. It may be 7 to 8 hours. You'll sit there.
And we may have some cardiac or stroke or things going on.
Car accident. You had
Car
a
accident.
couple car accidents here that everybody was taken to Salem Hospital. Well, if you got moderate to serious injuries, either you may be prepping them to send them off somewhere else,
Right.
or you may be getting them treated right there. But either way, if they're getting brought in by ambulance with injuries like that, more than likely you're going to take a real quick look at it, make sure it's not serious,
Yeah.
life-threatening injuries. A lot of different things happen behind those doors.
Right. And to be able to be here to provide that, you think about a car wreck or a heart attack or a stroke, and the not being able to stabilize the patient and get him to where they need to go. If they need services outside of Salem Hospital scope, to be able to be stabilized, if they need to be air evac'd out, if they need to be transported, we have that capability to stabilize and go. But if that wasn't here, that's concerning to me. So that should be concerning to a lot of the community. But
Oh, yeah. Well, Tabitha Standfast worked in the STEMI protocol and got all that paperwork done years ago. It's been about 20 years ago.
yeah,
Doesn't seem that long. But anyway, she did a great job getting all that. And stroke protocol. I mean, when you start thinking about everything that the hospital has done, we've had great people that have expanded on that and made it even better. So you have a key ingredient here for emergency services that can get you to a destination, stabilize you long enough to get there so you can be kept alive.
right. And what I like to call it is family taking care of family.
It kind of is.
It is.
Family. Yeah, I heard that somewhere.
One team, one fight, one family.
There you go. There it is, buddy. I knew
I
it
like to
kinda-
tie it in with the tagline is one team, one fight, one family for every patient, every counter, every time.
There you go. There you go. All right, very good. Ambulance runs still about 65 to 68%. You have a patient. The other 38%, it's a dry run.
Yeah.
But if you got an accident like we had here, matter of fact, one of the accidents, the EMS treated him at the scene, and then they released him.
Yep. Sometimes that happens.
So very good, very good. Good numbers all the way through. Operating statement showed a profit.
Yep.
We like profits.
Oh yeah, we had total patient revenue of 5.5 million, and then with the other revenue of 138,000, with the total deductions of 3.2, had a net operating revenue of 2.4. So with an ending excess of revenues after some unrestricted
We had an
tax.
adjustment on the taxes, yeah.
Yeah, and that had to do with the jail contract being allocated inappropriately. So we made that correction, but gave us an excess of revenues of $3,400. So, in the black.
It's in the black, baby.
Yep, I'll take
They
it.
don't say anything else, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's in the black. But yeah, that's a good step. July, August, September. September is usually when it starts to change. But usually the months of May, June, July, and August just are not very profitable months for hospitals.
Right, and that's around the board.
And it's not just Salem Hospital, it's
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. But to be able to make sure all those processes that we need, from revenue cycle to charges to everything, that all the processes run smoothly, that's what make these operating statements, flow appropriately. And that's what we got to keep going.
Balance sheet looks good. I mean, it's where it's supposed to be. Let's put it this way.
Right.
There's nothing that's sitting there that's scary about it at all. And that includes the liability side. So everything is just where it should be at this stage. And again, we're in transition.
Right.
We're still in transition. And then as we look at the expenses, and the hospital ended up with $2.34 million in cash still at the end of the month. Means you're meeting your bills, means you're getting things paid, you're recognizing your expenses correctly, and making sure that you have the revenues to cover them.
Right.
That's the important part.
Yep. Just keep business flowing, taking care of people.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good on that one. And of course, we talk about the cash report.
Mm-hmm.
I like the cash report. It's a pretty good report.
Yep. That cash flow, it just shows a little bit about, because you have your payroll weeks and your
Right.
non-payroll weeks, so you can be able, you might be a little bit negative and be able to have some cash that you put back. So it's just a good way to, it's a good metric that we can watch ourselves to make sure we're doing the things that we need to be doing and managing what we need to manage.
Right, and it was brought up by a board member to maybe do that every 2 weeks so it doesn't look as skewed as it does. 1 week you got a lot of money coming in, and next week you got a big zero, you're below zero because of the payroll.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do all that if you can balance it out in a 2-week period. But still, I don't see the problem having a weekly one to look at, then the bi-weekly one to see where you stand every 2 weeks, and then the monthly one.
Right.
Follow
So
up.
that may be a process that we're going to look at, probably combining it to like a monthly cash flow.
Very good. Days cash on hand went up.
Yep. Went up a day. We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yep.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. I heard a song like that.
Yeah, I remember that one. All right, very good. Then the clinic, the revenues and expenses were issued there, and it was a good month for the clinic.
It was. And that goes along with that record number. And that made it, I don't think it was quite the record number of revenue, but I think it was a record number of total visits and how
Right.
that aligned up. So it was a $378,000 total revenue, but after the expenses and the deductions, had a profit. Now that there is some other things that, don't have your benefits and stuff like that into those, but
There's indirect costs built
Indirect,
in.
yeah.
It has
So-
to be built in, but they're going to be paid whether the clinic's there or not.
that's right. That's right. Correct.
So there's allocation of those benefits. And that's the thing. Clinics are never usually one that are a money maker. They're a service provider.
Right.
They're the ones that when people are sick, they go to their doctor and they get the test done, and then you check out of there and you go home and you're good to go. Okay. I have in the past gone to locations, a long time ago, back in the 80s. Went to St. Louis. My doctor was there. Had to go to the hospital to see my doctor. Not a comfortable feeling when you go to a doctor in a doctor's office in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know what you're going to see walking in and out of the door.
Yeah.
You never know how busy they're going to be or when they're going to get pulled away from their office at the hospital. It can still be pulled away from the clinic, don't get me wrong, but those hospitals in St. Louis are a little larger.
Oh, yeah. Just a hair.
Like one campus to another campus. It's huge. But then you talk about wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you don't have any idea. They never tell you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really enjoy that. I don't mind waiting a little bit to go see a doctor. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Half hour, 45 minutes, that's okay. 5 hours for a doctor's appointment to wait is a little long.
It is. That kind of gets a little bit
Irritating.
Yeah.
Then when you get in there, they say your blood pressure's high. I wonder why. But it was just they did it with the idea that they would be there on call in an emergency that they could actually help out.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but then if you're going to schedule appointments, you need to leave some room in there
Right.
for that.
Little leeway.
And they just didn't do that. They stack them on top of each other. They had 5 people for 8 o'clock. Why'd you have 5 people for 8 o'clock? You can't see 5 people at one time.
Right. Yeah.
They get them in the rooms, they fill the rooms up, and then they get to them as they can. And then you, after waiting in the waiting room, get into the doctor's, we'll say, visitation room.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still waiting.
Right. And that's, when you think about process improvements and, organizational development, with all and it all goes not just in business, but when it comes to rural health clinics, or hospital physicians' offices. It's the same concept. And, finding those way to lean, manage, and processes for the ultimate goal of taking care of the patient and patient satisfaction. That's where those quality measures come in.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, 340B revenue expenses. Revenues came in nice for the month of August.
Did come in well. Had August with a 340B revenue of roughly 95, and with the expense of 51,000. with a total of 44.6. So turned out pretty good.
And it's
Can't
good.
complain.
And we just redid that, got it recertified for 340B again.
So we're good there.
Ashley Sullins gave the chief nursing officer report, still looking for nurses, but who isn't?
Always looking for nurses, and that's around the board of different facilities. But I'll tell you one thing about Salem Hospital is, we truly firmly believe about that one team, one fight, one family. So we're always looking for that additional family member.
So on the PRNs, though, the board was talking about making a policy change on that.
Right.
Because that maybe would allow the hospital to have additional staff available on the PRNs.
Right. So originally the policy was the PRN, if you don't work, if you're a PRN and you don't work one shift per month, you'll actually be removed from PRN status. So that's what they were wanting to extend that, because there may be chances where they're working another facility and they can't get in there for the month, so then they're removed. So they just wanted to have us look at those updating those policies to extend that, which makes sense.
Sure does.
Times change.
Sure does, especially when there's a shortage. Why would you
Yeah.
remove them from a list?
Yeah, and that's just old policies that you wouldn't think about. So it was a good recommendation.
So August had 9 hires, 5 full-time, 4 PRNs, and 4 left, 1 full-time, and 3 PRNs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. A little bit of turnover, but we got some good hires coming in. We got some more hires coming in next week. So we just need to continue to push forward and do what we do.
Very good. SMH Foundation. We got some things going on.
Yep.
And,
Got the Dance with the Salem Stars scheduled for February 24th. Get your 2 left shoes on, and no, won't be mine.
I was going to say, you got big feet anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I know.
So we got a good event coming up, Volley for a Cure, which is scheduled for October 21st. That is a volleyball tournament that has pretty much been packed already. It looks like, I think they said, over $10,000 already funded for donations for the October Breast Cancer Awareness.
Do you have enough teams?
Yep, the teams are full up.
Okay, so you don't have any more room.
As far as I'm told, no. Yeah, It's been stacked up. So that's a good starting point. That way we know next year if we do this again, which if it's a great fundraiser, why wouldn't we do it?
Why don't you do a 2-day one?
Exactly. So we start looking at other things that we can do to grow this event. So they're doing a great job on it.
Foundation has always been very, very, very generous in the month of October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Correct. Yeah. They are giving away 25 free mammograms during the month of October, which is hopefully in the future we can just continue to expand on that, because there's such an important screening tool.
is.
And the fact that we have that service at Salem Hospital to be able to do the 3D mammography and screening, it's just even more beneficial for the community.
And Zach Mosier replaced Wanda on the foundation board.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the year, when Judy retires, then Dr. Price will go on.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And the next meeting will be October 4th.
October 4th.
October
4th
Breast
is going to
Cancer
be a busy
Awareness
day, and there's going to be a lot of meetings that day.
Yeah.
Marketing Community Relations, we're doing it right now.
That's right.
We're talking about us.
We're talking about everything.
All right, very good.
Good. A lot of stuff going on with the back to school fair that happened over the month of August. And then we did have the Girls Night Out, which is a huge event, and the hospital and family medicine was represented there, and it was, it continues to be a huge event every year, so it was able to get out and market our services and just see the community. I think it's a great thing.
And for some of the practitioners that you have, they concentrate on women's health.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect place for them to go and tell them about the services that they can get at the clinic.
Exactly. So to be able to offer that and be able, when community sees a person, not necessarily, you may hear them on the radio but be able to visually see them and talk to them and explain to them so that that person feels comfortable to go to see them. That's the starting point of the visit. They may not need to just go ahead and make an appointment in order to learn their provider. These are great opportunities to learn about your provider right there and maybe ask a few questions,
Sure.
Get to know them, feel comfortable with them, so to draw them in to be able to take care of that patient.
Never hurts to ask questions.
No, not at all.
Find out about different things that maybe you just were not aware of. And a couple of appointments were made at the Chief of Staff's report. The medical staff recommended Randall Heller, M.D., and Tracy Hesse. Is it Hesse?
It's
CRNA?
I said Hess, but it may be Hesse.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I hate mispronouncing people's names,
I
but
do
I don't
too,
know
but
which.
I don't know.
We'll go
that
with,
one could probably go either way.
we could get Hess or Hesse. We're either, one of us is right.
I bet you're right.
Okay, one of us is
I
right.
bet you're right. Very good. So then a different review was the physician clinical quality review.
Yep.
And that was an interesting report. I hadn't seen that one before. Is that something new?
With the physician quality, they do the quality review. It has tweaked a little bit and done some new things, and I think you're going to see some more additions to this quality report. But that's something we have to do with the plan of corrections and making sure that we're following through, and they have to do a quality review. So,
I just haven't seen a board packet before. I'm sure that hospitals had it.
right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good to get the board involved and see that these things are being done, because a lot of times they don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, the board has to review them as well. So,
Sure.
and that may be something that we're doing above and beyond for quality that, that we want to show that we are looking peer review of, things that we need to do for quality. That's huge in healthcare, is quality and satisfaction. And we want to make sure that we're doing the best thing that we can do for patients.
Very good. All righty. That report, I did not really understand that report.
Which one?
The one you're looking at right now.
Oh, the HCAPS?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's very hard to read.
It is very hard to read. It's a lot of and it looks like these are surveys that and it only returned that were 3. So that's something we're going to focus on, is getting more of a platform, not necessarily a platform, but a more of an idea, so where we can get more patient surveys to tell us of our quality of care. So having just 3 of a total, that's not a whole lot. So if you think you might get 3, and a lot of times when you get a survey, you don't always get the positives. You get some that are mostly negative. So we want to get a range of surveys that we can balance out. What are we actually doing well? What do we need to improve on? That's the ultimate goal. What do we need to improve? So, and that's where these surveys
So the goal is to get more HCAPs in.
Exactly.
Over time. So that you can balance it out with a good average and see where deficiencies lie and where you need to improve.
Exactly.
Very good. Okay. That sounds good. I just didn't, I had a hard time reading it. It really wasn't talk too much at the meeting. Of course, it's already 2 hours old. People get a little tired. All right, old business a little bit. We'd already talked about a state matching fund. Strategic plan update. You had already mentioned this. I think the last time we talked, you were going to do this. The strategic plan update, though, you're talking about doing, though, it's not just going to include administration, which has happened before, but administration, directors, and providers.
We're talking about
a lot of
whole
input.
Yeah, and that's when you're talking about a strategic plan for your whole healthcare facility, getting input from every avenue and every individual that may have a thought of where do we want to head in that direction. And it doesn't necessarily need to be administration, but where is our providers thinking of where we wanted to head? Where is our directors thinking? They see and they deal day to day with patients, and they may have an idea that we wouldn't see.
Sure.
And then at the time, we can compile all that information to develop our strategic plan.
Makes more sense to get as much input as you can from the people doing it.
Absolutely.
Than from the people who are watching it.
Exactly.
I
like sense.
It makes sense to me. All right, the operational budget, there was a question, and the board had to approve. Property tax has always been used for capital improvements, which it still would be.
Right.
But the appropriation would be to fund the bonding for the capital improvement state matching funds.
Right, which we've had in our, and been voted on every year. We have to make sure that that's in the minutes and voted on.
Yep. All right, very good. Finance committee is going to work with you and a whole bunch of people to put a long-range capital plan together. We're going to meet on the 4th of October.
Right. So we
Work
had to
on
make
a 7-year plan.
That is a 7-year plan. That's what we used to do historically, and that's what the board wanted to see. So if a piece of equipment is going to depreciate and it's going to go out in 5 years, the board would like to see that and prepare for that. And previously, I think what would happen is they just received a 1-year, this is what we need, and I think they wanted to see a more plan of going out for this full 7 years.
Yeah.
So
I used to remember 5. I don't really remember the 7, but
I like to go above and beyond. No,
then I know that like when COVID hit it, they dropped it down to 2.
Yeah.
2 or 3 because nobody knew.
Right.
How could you make a plan with COVID? I mean, that really kind of threw everything into a.
It's hard to plan anything with COVID. You know, everything kind of, you would hate to say stopped, but it it slowed to a crawl.
Yes, it did. Very good. All right, new business, a revenue cycle update. You currently made a couple discussions on that. We already had that up front, but schedule some meetings with ITX leadership regarding a number of different topics, okay? Because this is very important to see where the hospital's in the revenue cycle.
Correct.
And be updated on it and understanding what they're doing, right?
Exactly. So when you're looking at HPMG and Mike Smith, who's our interim revenue cycle director, it's in working with RHG to be able to get all these processes to, and that's with, you know, when you hear ITX leadership, ITX is for our statements. So
Right.
we want to make sure all those processes are in flow. If there's any holes in that process, we're fixing those, and we're working together for the ultimate goal to fine-tune that revenue cycle process. Always, you know, we're always working forward to where we can capitalize and bring that all in-house. So just continued talks and making sure we're not dropping anything in any balls in that avenue.
You know, revenue for a hospital is very hard to explain, Jason. It's not like you go and you have insurance, you guys submit the claim to insurance, and everybody thinks you get a check.
Yeah, no.
Is that a joke? But you don't. It takes, insurance companies are very slow to pay. And anybody who's ever dealt with an insurance company should know this. They're never in a big hurry to give back the money. They want your premiums on time.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't like to pay the hospitals, and they will fight some charges. I know when I had COVID, they were fighting some idiotic charges. They're like $4. What?
Right.
You know,
So we have to make sure everything is coded properly.
And that's
everything
the
is billed
problem.
properly. And it all starts from the registration. That is the first
Right.
point. The first time that the patient shows up and gets registered, all that information input into the system, any error, one simple error, one false button click can deny the whole claim.
Yeah.
So if you get an address wrong, if you get just a number wrong, if you misspell the name, minimal, it could mess up the whole process.
And then you got to refile it. And then you got to wait the other 3
Exactly.
months to get your money. You know, but people need to understand that too, because it's not just cut and dry, everything. Even if you're pre-approved for a service, you still, the doctors have to do it. They got to document it, whatever. So let's say you're getting a CAT scan. Okay, you get pre-approved for the CAT scan. You go get it done. They file all the paper properly. And if there's something that they think is missing, they're going to deny it until they get that piece.
Right.
Is that not correct?
That is correct. I mean, it's the process improvement, and that's a lot what's been focused on right now with the revenue cycle is training.
Yeah.
You know, proper training and education, and giving the employees the right resources to be able to do their job and be, you know, and streamline everything to where we don't have to have these denials or write-offs. You know, just make sure that we can capitalize on everything when it comes to revenue cycle.
That
Starts from the beginning.
It does start from the beginning. You know, I remember years ago, Kathy Weldon, God rest her soul, I think it was 13,000 codes, and she said, they're going to 63,000 codes. Like, why? Because they're not descriptive enough. And I remember when she told me that. I said, who in their right mind, who would be able to know 63,000 codes?
Not me.
Nobody. You know, and you'd have to go through every one of these codes, and you have to know so much detail. But for what? If my middle finger's hurt or my pinky's hurt, what's the difference? You know, I don't
It's a different digit.
I know it is, but I mean, but when you think about it, you're fixing my hand, you're fixing my finger, whatever it is, shouldn't make any difference. And that's where I think, okay, we've gotten stupid about this now.
Right.
You know, so to me, it was just a better way for insurance companies to find a way to deny. That's all I say, because it's easier to make mistakes. The more questions you got to answer. And if they don't like the answer,
Yeah.
we need more information.
Right. It's fun. It's a fun job.
Oh, I'm not thinking that's a fun job. I mean, if you like to argue a lot, it'd be a fun job.
Well,
You'll get your
I
fair
better not say anything.
Yeah, you get your fair share of that. All right, upcoming events. We got a few of them coming up. We got another board meeting in October, and then November, we got the medical staff meeting. I didn't see a meeting in November, though. Are we not going to have one?
The medical. Oh, you're talking about board of directors
Board
meeting?
of
Oh, they'll
yeah.
probably. Yep. Well, they'll probably put that in October for the next meeting.
Well, I know, but why would they have had it in there? Because they got the December 13th meeting, Board of Directors.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, well, I saw
I mean,
that.
I know
s-
it's been. I mean, it's on the schedule, so I don't know why we didn't publicize
I
that.
didn't. I thought, oh, okay. Should be the 21st,
That's true.
but I didn't see it there.
Yeah.
I just, when I was up there, I thought, well, maybe there's a different date.
Right. As far as I know,
Something with it.
it's directly right after, but unless something.
Well, I mean, it is the week of Thanksgiving,
It
and I
is.
know they have changed it occasionally and move it up. Maybe that was the thought at the time. We're going to move that date. Don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, Board of Directors meeting, 17th. In December, they always have it a little bit early to keep it away from Christmas. And so they have, usually medical staff, they have the holiday dinner.
Have the holiday.
Board gets together. It's a nice time. Very good. All right. Board of Director candidate filing. That's a very important date, December 5th, because you're looking at three.
Correct.
Almost 4. 3.
Almost 4. Well, it didn't quite get there yet.
Well, it would have been if she was going to quit a day earlier.
Right. Right.
She was.
Yeah. So that first day of the filing, board of directors, December 5th.
December 5th. I do not know the districts. Do you?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
But we'll be announcing that.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll
yes.
have a lot more details on that next meeting. And you went to closed session. Any votes
Good.
taken?
There was the only vote that was taking. They were talking about there was some additional duties that were out of administration that were during the previous.
Moving them back.
Moving them back. So there was a vote to bring those back into the administrative department, which comes to privileges, credentialing, and stuff like that.
It was discussed during the meeting, but some of the new board members didn't know enough about it.
Right. So that was transpired in closed session, so they voted to bring that information
But there
back.
could have been some legal aspect to that as well. So,
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Very good. Well, sir, I know you have to hit the road and head over to Texas County.
Go see some patients.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's a great day for patients.
Always a good day for patient care.
You bet it is. Anyway, we appreciate Jason coming in and spending some time with us, interim CEO of our Salem Memorial Hospital. Again, you're doing a fantastic job, my friend. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate
Getting a
it.
little
Always-
grayer.
Well, yeah. That's part of the job. At least my hair is still somewhat there,
Yeah,
but it's
you still got some.
it's a Picasso. It's a work of art.
Yeah, it definitely is a work of art. That's for sure, buddy. I do appreciate you, and I think everybody's very happy where we are getting right now. So appreciate you, my friend. Very good. Anyway, we want to remind you, if you have any questions about what you heard here, you always can contact the hospital, 729-6626. Administration office for Hannah's 4005 on the extension. And you can let her know, and if she doesn't have the answer, she'll find somebody who
Absolutely.
does and get you that answer if you heard something here today that interests you. Jason, you have a safe travels over Texas County. We have AP News coming up next right here on KSMO Radio.
The better mix. KSMO Salem.